The cry for help, 800 words. The forest was quiet, too quiet. The human traveler walked slowly through the strange alien woods, his boots pressing against the soft glowing ground. Every tree was tall and twisted, their leaves shining with a faint blue light. The air smelled of smoke and dust as if something dangerous had passed here not long ago. He adjusted the strap of his small pack and kept walking, his eyes sharp, his heart alert. He had been traveling alone for weeks, searching for a safe way across this alien world. Most towns were empty, the villages destroyed. Rumors spoke of a great terror in the skies, a beast that hunted anything alive. The locals called it the Sky Hunter. He did not know if the stories were true, but he had already seen bones lying, in the open, big and small. Something terrible was real here. Suddenly the silence broke. "Please, please, human, help!" The human froze. The voice was high, trembling, filled with fear. He turned, scanning the trees. At first he saw nothing. Then from behind a cluster of glowing roots a small figure stumbled out. It was a child, not a human child, an alien girl. Her skin was pale silver, her eyes huge and bright like stars. She wore torn clothes and her little hands shook as she clutched them to her chest. Her voice cracked as she cried out again. "Please. My mom is trapped. The Sky Hunter took her." The human blinked. He had never seen such a creature up close. Most aliens he met avoided him, distrusting humans. Yet this little girl ran to him, desperate, begging. His heart tightened. He crouched, down a little, keeping his voice calm. "What do you mean, trapped? Where is your mother?" The girl pointed with a trembling finger toward the dark cliffs in the distance. Above them, something huge moved against the clouds. The human narrowed his eyes. A shadow with wings wider than ships circled high above. "The Sky Hunter's nest?" she whispered. "It carried her away. No one will help. Everyone is too afraid. Please, human. You are not like them. Please save her." The human looked at the child, then at the sky. The winged shadow gave out a low, echoing screech that shook the trees. Even from this distance, the sound made his skin crawl. His first instinct was to refuse. This was madness. A beast like that could kill him in seconds. But then he saw the tears streaming down the alien girl's face. She was alone, helpless, terrified. If he walked away, she would lose her mother forever. "Why me?" he asked softly. "Why do you trust a human?" The girl's eyes glistened. "Because everyone else ran away, but you stopped. You listened. Please, you are my only hope." The human sighed, his chest heavy. He had fought battles before, but never against something like this. Still, he could not ignore her. Slowly, he placed his hand on her shoulder. "All right," he said firmly. "Show me the way." The girl's face lit up with fragile hope. She nodded quickly, wiping her tears, then grabbed his hand to pull him forward. Her grip was small, but strong. They walked together through the twisting forest, heading toward the cliffs. Every step made the human's heart beat faster. The shadow above circled again, letting out another roar. "Tell me," he asked as they moved, "what is this Sky Hunter? Why does it take people?" The girl's voice shook as she answered. "It is the terror of our world. It hunts from the sky, faster than lightning. It grabs anyone it sees. My mother. She tried to protect our village. She stood against it. But the monster caught her and carried her away." The human frowned. "Has no one ever fought it?" She shook her head quickly. "No one dares. Everyone says it cannot be beaten. They say whoever enters its nest never returns." The human kept walking, eyes fixed on the cliffs ahead. He had faced danger before. He knew monsters often seemed unbeatable until someone dared to try. When they reached the edge of the forest, the land opened wide. The cliffs rose like sharp teeth into the sky, their tops hidden in clouds. The shadow of wings passed across the ground, and for a moment everything grew darker. The girl stopped, squeezing his hand. "Please," she whispered, her voice breaking. "Don't leave me, don't leave my mom." The human knelt down to meet her eyes. His face was serious, but his voice was steady. I gave you my word. I won't leave. I'll get her back. But you must be brave too. The girl nodded, though tears still rolled down her cheeks. Suddenly the ground trembled. Dust fell from the cliffs. The human's eyes shot upward. A massive shape was descending from the clouds. The sky hunter. Its wings stretched across the sky, blocking the pale light. Its body was covered in dark scales, its claws sharp as swords. The air shook as it roared, a sound so loud it made the girl fall to her knees. The human stood tall, staring at the beast. His jaw tightened. His mind whispered one word: run. But his heart said something else: fight. The sky hunter's eyes glowed, locking onto him. The girl clung to his leg, trembling, and in that terrible moment, the human knew his life was about to change forever. The dangerous sky hunter. 800 words. The air grew heavier as the giant shadow swept over the cliffs. The human stood frozen, his eyes locked on the beast above. The sky hunter circled with slow, deliberate power, as if it already knew its prey, had nowhere to run. Its wings stretched wide, blocking the fading light of the twin suns. The alien girl clung to his leg, her small body shaking. Her voice was barely a whisper. It knows we are here. The human swallowed hard. The stories had not lied. The creature was more terrifying than he imagined. Its scales glimmered black and silver like armor forged in fire. Its beak was long and curved, sharp enough to pierce stone. And its claws, each one as long as his arm, looked strong enough to tear apart a ship's hull. The monster screeched, a sound that echoed through the valley, shaking dust from the cliffs. The girl covered her ears and cried out. The human bent down, his voice steady but firm. Stay close to me. No matter what happens, do not run. She nodded, though her eyes were wide with terror. The beast swooped lower, its wings creating a storm of wind. Trees bent, rocks rolled, and the ground itself seemed to shiver under the force. The human braced himself, gripping the rocky wall, nearby to keep from being blown away. The sky hunter landed on a high ridge just above them. The cliff cracked under its weight, its glowing eyes fixed on the human, curious and hungry. It let out a low growl like thunder rumbling from the earth. The human's instincts screamed at him. This was not a fight he could win with strength alone. He needed to think. He looked at the girl. Where is the nest? She raised a trembling hand and pointed higher up the cliffs. A dark hollow gaped like the mouth of a giant cave, half hidden in mist. Far above, tangled branches and broken bones hung from its edge. My mom is there, she whispered. The human clenched his jaw. The path to that cave was steep, sharp and exposed. Climbing would mean being in full sight of the beast, but there was no choice. The sky hunter stretched its wings and gave another roar, the sound rolling through the valley like a storm. Then, with terrifying speed, it leapt into the air. The human grabbed the girl and pulled her against the cliff wall. The beast dove straight down, claws outstretched. The wind screamed past his ears as the monster swooped. At the last second, he pushed the girl into a narrow crack between rocks and rolled aside. The claws smashed into the stone, tearing it apart like paper. Shards of rock flew everywhere. The girl screamed, but the human shouted back, "Stay hidden!" The beast rose again, furious. Its eyes glowed brighter now, filled with hunger and rage. The human's heart pounded. He had to move, had to find a way up. He scanned the rocks, spotting a narrow ledge that climbed toward the nest. It wasn't safe, but it was the only path. He pulled the girl from her hiding place. We go now, quickly. Hand in hand, they scrambled up the jagged rocks. The human kept his body between her and the open sky, shielding her as best he could. Every step was a battle. The rocks cut into his hands, the wind tried to push them off. Above them, the sky hunter screeched again and dove once more. Its shadow fell over them, darker than night. The human shoved the girl into a shallow cave opening, pressing himself flat against the wall. The beast's claws scraped so close that sparks flew against the stone. The human felt the rush of air as the monster passed, almost tearing him away. From the rock face, The girl's eyes filled with tears. "It will kill us. No one can fight it. We should go back." The human turned to her, his eyes hard, his voice calm but sharp. "Listen to me. Fear makes you weak. Hope makes you strong. Your mother is waiting. We cannot stop now." Her lips trembled, but she nodded, holding onto his arm. The human looked upward again. The nest was still far, but closer than before. Bones dangled from it, rattling in the wind. The smell of death drifted down, sour and heavy. The sky hunter circled again, its wings beating slowly, its gaze never leaving them. It was playing with them, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The human knew he needed more than courage. He needed a plan. His eyes darted across the cliffside. Loose rocks, sharp ledges, and patches of glowing moss lit the path. He began to form an idea. "Keep climbing," he whispered to the girl. "When I tell you to run, you run as fast as you can." Her voice shook. "What about you?" He forced a smile, though his heart was racing. "Don't worry about me, just trust me." The girl's trust was fragile, but she held his hand tightly and followed. Above, the sky hunter gave a chilling cry and folded its wings, diving again with unstoppable speed. The human's muscles tensed. His chance had come. He shoved the girl upward onto the ledge and grabbed a loose boulder. As the beast came within reach, he heaved the stone with all his strength. The rock struck the sky hunter's wing joint. The monster shrieked, twisting, in midair. Its flight broke and it slammed against the cliffside, shaking the entire mountain. Dust and pebbles rained down. The girl screamed, clinging to the ledge. The human gasped for breath, his arms aching. He had bought them a few seconds, no more. The beast was already rising again, more furious than ever. Its glowing eyes blazed like fire. The human knew the truth. The real battle had only just begun. Into the nest, 800 words. The climb felt endless. The human's hands were raw from gripping sharp stone, his arms heavy with strain. The alien girl clung close, following his every move, her small fingers trembling as they held the rock. Behind them, the wind howled, and the sound of wings beating the air echoed again and again. The sky hunter was still out there. Every time the human looked up, he saw the nest growing closer. It was a massive hollow carved into the cliff face, half covered with thick branches, twisted roots, and torn cloth. Bones hung like trophies, tied into the nest walls with sticky black threads. The smell of decay stung his nose. The girl whispered as they climbed. "My mom, she's inside, I can feel her, please don't stop." The human gritted his teeth. "I won't stop, but you must stay silent, the beast may hear us." She nodded quickly, pressing her lips shut, though her wide eyes spoke her fear. They reached a narrow ledge just below the nest. The human carefully pulled the girl up, then crouched low, scanning the sky. For a moment, the world was quiet. No wings, no roar. The monster had vanished into the clouds, too quiet. The human's instincts screamed danger. He placed a finger over his lips, warning the girl to stay still. Then, slowly, he crawled forward and peered into the nest. What he saw made his chest tighten. Inside, tangled in thick black strands, was the alien mother. Her body was scratched and bruised, her silver skin dull and pale. She was alive. Her chest rose and fell weakly, but she was trapped like an insect in a web. The girl gasped and almost ran forward, but the human grabbed her arm and shook his head. His eyes were sharp. If she made a sound, the beast would come. The mother stirred, her tired eyes opening. When she saw them, tears filled her gaze. She tried to speak, but her voice was too weak. Only one word came out, a desperate whisper. "Run." The human's jaw tightened. He knew what she meant. She didn't want her daughter here. She didn't want him to risk his life. But leaving wasn't an option. He pulled a shard of sharp metal from his pack, a broken blade he had carried for weeks. Carefully, he tested the sticky black strands. They were tough, like steel wires, but the blade cut slowly through them. The girl crawled closer, whispering, "Hurry, before it comes back." The mother shook her head, whispering again, "No, it will kill you both. Leave me." The human ignored her. His voice was low and firm. "Save your strength. I'm not leaving you here." He cut faster, sweat dripping down his forehead. Every strand snapped with a sound like cracking bone. The mother winced but stayed quiet. Suddenly, a gust of wind shook the nest. The human froze. The girl clutched his arm, her eyes wide with terror. A shadow passed over the entrance. The human's heart pounded. Slowly, he turned his head. The sky. Hunter was back. It perched on the edge of the cliff above the nest, its glowing eyes burning in the mist. Its wings folded tight against its massive body as it crawled downward, claws scraping the stone. The girl whimpered, the mother's eyes filled with tears. The human held up his hand, signaling them both to stay silent. His mind raced. He couldn't fight the beast here, not in this narrow nest with no escape. He had to buy time. He crouched low, gripping the blade tightly. His voice was barely a whisper as he looked at the girl. "When I tell you, pull your mother free, don't stop." Her lip trembled. "But what about you?" He forced a thin smile. "I'll distract it, that's the only way." Before she could protest, the sky hunter let out a deafening screech and lunged into the nest. The whole structure shook, branches snapping, bones crashing to the ground. The human leapt sideways, rolling across the nest floor. The beast's claws slammed where he had been, tearing through the sticky strands. "Now!" he shouted. The girl cried out and pulled at the last strands, holding her mother. The weakened alien woman groaned but began to slide free. The sky hunter turned its head, its glowing eyes locking on them. Its beak opened wide, rows of sharp teeth shining inside. The human grabbed a burning stick from the nest floor, remains of some old torch left by a victim long ago. With a shout, he thrust it toward the monster's face. Flames flickered, the light reflecting in its glowing eyes. The beast roared, snapping its beak shut inches from his arm. The heat and fire made it recoil for just a moment, enough for the girl to drag her mother onto the ledge. The human backed toward them, waving the torch to keep the beast at bay, but the flames were already dying. Smoke curled into the air, the fire weakening. The sky hunter hissed, its eyes narrowing. Slowly it advanced again, spreading its wings inside the nest. The walls shook, dust falling around them. The human knew the truth. He could not hold it off much longer. He looked at the girl and her mother, their faces pale with fear, and whispered under his breath, "Not today. You won't take them today." The torch flickered one last time, then went out. Darkness swallowed the nest. The beast roared, leaping forward, and in that instant the human made his move. The mother's plea, 800 words. Darkness swallowed the nest as the last flame died. The human's chest heaved as he backed toward the alien girl and her mother. The sky hunter hissed in the shadows, its glowing eyes the only light left. The girl clutched her mother's weak body, whispering in fear, "Please, Mom. Please stay awake." The mother coughed, her breath thin. She tried to push her daughter away, her voice barely a whisper. "You should not be here. You must leave. Me go before it kills you too." The human crouched beside them, blade in hand, his eyes never leaving the beast. His voice was firm. "No, we are not leaving you, not now, not ever." The mother shook her head weakly. Tears rolled down her pale cheeks. "You don't understand. This is the sky hunter's nest. It does not let prey escape. I cannot survive, but you can save my child. Please, human, take her and run." The girl sobbed, hugging her mother tighter. "No, I won't leave. I won't." The human's jaw tightened. He had heard pleas like this before, people willing to sacrifice themselves for the ones they loved. But he was human, and humans had a habit of defying fate itself. He leaned closer, his eyes fierce. "You protected your village. You stood against this monster when no one else would. You don't get to give up now, not while I'm here." The mother looked at him with tired disbelief. "Why? Why would a human risk his life for us? We are not your kind. Others fear you." The human gave a grim smile. Because sometimes it takes a human to do what no one else will. The beast screeched, shaking the nest. Its massive claw swiped across the floor, missing them by inches but cutting deep scars into the stone. The girl screamed. The human pulled, both mother and daughter against the wall, shielding them with his body. The mother's weak hands gripped his arm. You will die. Do you not see? It is not a creature. It is death itself. The human met her desperate gaze and spoke softly. Maybe, but death doesn't scare me. Failing you, that scares me more. For a heartbeat, the mother stared at him silent. Then her eyes filled with something new. Not despair, but a small spark of hope. The beast roared and lunged again, its beak snapping so close the human felt the rush of air against his face. He swung his blade, scraping against its scales. Sparks flew, but the weapon barely left a scratch. The sky hunter shrieked in anger, its glowing eyes burning brighter. The human knew he couldn't win by force. He needed another way. His eyes scanned the nest, desperate for anything he could use. Broken bones, torn cloth, glowing moss on the walls. And above, hanging loose, heavy stones barely held by tangled roots. An idea formed. He shouted to the girl. Climb higher, help your mother, get her up that ledge. The girl hesitated, terrified. But what about you? He shouted louder, his eyes locked on the beast. Do it. Trust me. Tears streaming down her face, she pulled her mother upward, inch by inch, toward the narrow ledge above the nest floor. The mother groaned in pain but did not resist. The human ran to the side, waving his arms, shouting to draw the sky hunters' attention. The beast turned its massive head, eyes blazing. With a deafening roar it charged. The human dove aside at the last second. The monster's claws smashed into the wall where he had been. Cracks spread upward, shaking the rocks above. The heavy stones shifted, dust raining down. Good, the human whispered to himself. Come closer. The sky hunter screeched and struck again. The human dodged, rolling across the floor, scraping his arm on jagged bone. Pain shot through him, but he didn't stop. He grabbed a broken spear shaft from the ground and hurled it at the beast's face. It clattered uselessly, but the distraction worked. The monster slammed its body against the wall in rage. More cracks spread. The stones above groaned. Ready to fall. The girl's voice echoed from above, shaking with fear. Please, come up, it's going to collapse. The human looked up at her and shouted, That's the point. He darted under the weakened rocks, waving his arms, taunting the beast. Come on, is this the best you can do? You're nothing but a big bird with bad breath. The sky hunter shrieked in fury, folding its wings as it charged straight at him. At the last moment, the human rolled aside and slammed his blade into the cracked wall. The rocks above gave way. With a thunderous crash, the heavy stones fell, smashing into the beast. Dust and bone fragments filled the air. The sky hunter roared in pain, buried under the debris. The nest shook violently, branches snapping, walls collapsing. The human coughed, eyes stinging with dust. He looked up. The girl and her mother clung to the ledge, watching in horror. Go, he shouted. Climb higher now. But before he could follow, a claw burst from the rubble. The sky hunter screamed, shoving aside the fallen rocks. Its eyes burned brighter than ever. The human's heart sank. The trap hadn't killed it. It had only made it angrier. The mother, weak but awake now, cried out from above. Human, stop. Please, take my daughter and run. Leave me. That is the only way. The human looked up at her, then back at the beast. His blade shook in his hand, his body trembling with exhaustion, but his voice was steady. No, I told you. I don't leave people behind. Not her. Not you. No one. The sky hunter roared, rising from the rubble, wings spreading wide again. And the human tightened, his grip ready for the fight of his life. The battle begins. 800 words. The rubble shifted. The nest floor trembled. From beneath the fallen stones, the sky hunter rose once more. Dust poured from its scales, and its glowing eyes burned with rage. Its roar shook the cliffs like thunder. The eyes der human stood on shaking legs, blade in hand. His arms ached, his lungs burned, but he refused to step back. Behind him, the alien girl and her mother clung to the ledge, their faces pale with terror. The girl cried out, "Please, human, stop. You'll die." He didn't look back. His eyes stayed locked on the beast. His voice was firm like steel. "Not today." The sky hunter lunged, its claws slashing through the air. The human dove to the side, the claws missing him by inches but leaving deep scars across the stone. The force of the strike nearly threw him off balance. He rolled, came up on one knee and slashed at the beast's leg. Sparks flew as his blade scraped the thick scales, leaving only a shallow mark. The monster screeched, more angry than hurt, and whipped its massive wing toward him. The blow sent him flying across the nest. He hit the wall hard. The air knocked from his chest. Pain seared his ribs, but still he stood. The girl screamed from above. "Run! Please run!" The human spat blood, tightened his grip on the blade and shouted back, "I didn't come this far to run." The sky hunter spread its wings, filling the nest with wind. Dust and bones swirled in the air, blinding him. The monster's glowing, eyes cut through the storm, its gaze fixed on him. It struck again, its beak stabbing like a spear. The human twisted aside, the tip grazing his arm and drawing blood. He gritted his teeth against the pain, slamming his blade upward in desperation. The strike hit softer flesh between the beast's scales. The sky hunter screamed, jerking back. Black blood dripped from the wound. It wasn't much, but it was proof. The monster could bleed. The human's heart pounded. His mind raced. It can bleed. Then it can be beaten. The beast reared back, fury burning in its glowing eyes. It slammed a claw down, smashing the ground. Cracks spread through the nest floor. The entire structure trembled, threatening to collapse. Into the abyss below. The girl held her mother tightly, crying out, "Human! The nest is falling apart." He glanced up, dust stinging his eyes. "Then we end this now." The sky hunter lunged again, wings snapping, claws flashing. The human charged forward instead of back. He slid beneath the beast's chest, driving his blade upward with all his strength. The metal pierced deeper this time, sinking into softer tissue near its throat. The monster shrieked, twisting violently. The force ripped the blade from his hands and sent him crashing to the ground. His weapon was gone. The sky hunter's shadow loomed over him. Its beak opened wide, rows of jagged, teeth glowing in the darkness. The mother's voice cried out, weak but fierce. "Human! Leave us! Save yourself!" The human's eyes burned with defiance. He shouted back without fear. "No, I don't leave anyone." With nothing else left, he grabbed a broken spear lying among the bones and hurled it at the beasts. The crude weapon struck true, bouncing off the glowing surface but making the monster recoil for just a second. It wasn't enough to hurt it, but it was enough to buy him a heartbeat. He scrambled to his feet, searching desperately. His eyes fell on the wall of glowing moss. It pulsed faintly, as if alive, feeding off the energy of the nest. He remembered the way the beast had flinched at the torch's fire earlier. Maybe light was its weakness. His mind raced. "If I can burn it." The sky hunter roared again, lunging forward. The human sprinted toward the moss, ripping a strip of cloth from his sleeve as he ran. He wrapped it around a broken bone, dipped it into the glowing moss, and struck sparks with his blade against stone. A small flame flickered to life. The beast shrieked in fury, sensing the light. It lunged, its claw smashing down. The human rolled, away at the last moment, pressing the burning torch against the moss-covered wall. The entire wall ignited in blinding light. The cave filled with a brilliant glow, brighter than fire, brighter than stars. The sky hunter screamed, thrashing wildly, its wings beating with chaotic fury. It clawed at its face, blinded by the sudden blaze. The girl gasped in awe. "It's working. Human, it's working." The human grabbed his blade from where it had fallen, gripping it tightly once more. He turned toward the staggering beast, its eyes glowing weakly now, its movements unsteady. "This ends here," he whispered. He charged forward, leaping onto the monster's wing. He ran along its massive body, dodging as it thrashed. With a roar of his own, he drove the blade deep into the wound near its throat. The sky hunter shrieked, its body convulsing. The nest shook violently, branches and bones snapping. The ground beneath them began to crumble. The human yanked his blade free and leapt down, landing hard beside the girl and her mother. He pulled them close, shouting over the chaos. "Hold on, we're leaving." The beast staggered, blinded and bleeding, but still alive. Its glowing eyes dimmed, but its roar was filled with rage and pain. The nest floor cracked open. Stones and bones fell into the dark abyss below. The human tightened his grip on the two aliens, pulling them toward the ledge. His heart pounded, every muscle burning. Behind him, the sky hunter rose again, wings spread wide, its body broken but not defeated. The battle wasn't over. Not yet. Outsmarting the beast, 800 words, the nest cracked beneath their feet. Stones tumbled into the black abyss below, vanishing without a sound. The sky hunter roared, its body battered but not broken. Its wings stretched wide, stirring violent, winds that almost tore the human and the two aliens from the ledge. The human tightened his grip on the girl and her mother, forcing them toward higher ground. His lungs burned, his body screamed in pain, but his mind was sharp. He had seen it. The beast's weakness. The firelight. It had recoiled from the blaze of the moss. Not from pain, but from blindness. Light cut through its glowing eyes like a knife. He knew then, strength alone would not kill this monster. But maybe, just maybe, wit could. The girl shouted over the roar of wind. "Human, we can't escape. The nest is breaking." The mother coughed, her voice weak. "He cannot fight it. No one can fight it." The human pulled them both against the cliff wall, shielding them with his body as a chunk of stone crashed down beside them. His jaw clenched, his eyes locked on the monster. "No one ever tried the human way," he growled. The sky hunter lunged again, its claws slicing across the nest floor. The human rolled, grabbing a jagged rock and hurling it at the beast's glowing eye. It struck, making the creature recoil in fury. The human turned quickly to the girl. "Do you see those crystals? The glowing ones in the wall?" She nodded, trembling. "Yes, they shine like the stars." "Good," he said sharply. "Those crystals hold power. If we break them all at once, their light may blind it long enough for us to escape." Her mother gasped, shaking her head. "No, if the crystals shatter, the whole nest could collapse." The human met her desperate gaze. His voice was firm, unshaken. "It's already collapsing. This is our only chance." The beast shrieked and swung its massive wing. The human shoved the girl and her mother aside, the strike slamming against the stone where they had been. Dust and bone fragments filled the air. The human leapt toward the nearest cluster of crystals. With his blade, he struck one hard. Where crystal cracked, glowing brighter for a heartbeat before dimming. Sparks flew. The sky hunter roared in anger, turning its head sharply toward him. Its glowing eyes narrowed. The human shouted, "Now, hit the others." The girl hesitated, but when she saw his determination, she grabbed a loose stone and slammed it against another crystal. It burst with a flash of light. The beast screeched, rearing back, wings thrashing in pain. The human struck again, shattering. Another crystal. The cave walls lit up like fire, each crystal's burst sending blinding light through the air. The sky hunter screamed, shaking its head violently, slamming its claws into the ground as if trying to tear the light away. The girl struck again, crying out with each blow. Her mother, though weak, helped her with trembling hands. Together they smashed crystal after crystal, the light growing so bright the whole nest glowed like a star. The human raised his blade, his face grim. "That's it. Keep going. Don't stop." The beast's eyes flickered wildly, its screeches, louder than thunder. It stumbled, crashing against the walls, tearing branches and bones apart in its fury. Its massive wings knocked down half the nest, sending debris tumbling into the abyss. The ground split beneath them. The girl screamed. "It's falling! The whole nest is falling!" The human's heart pounded. He looked up, spotting a narrow path of stone leading higher to safety. It wasn't much, but it was all they had. "Climb," he shouted. "Go now, don't look back." The girl pulled her mother, tears running down her face. "Come on, Mom, come on." The human swung his blade wildly, blocking the beast as it thrashed blindly. Its claw slashed across his side, tearing into his clothes and skin. Pain ripped through him, but he didn't stop. He shouted at the monster, his voice filled with defiance. "You don't get them. Not while I live." The Sky Hunter let out one final deafening roar and lunged. Its glowing eyes burned faintly, its vision half blind. The human made his move. He sprinted across the crumbling nest, leaping onto the beast's back. He drove his blade deep into the base of its glowing eye. The monster shrieked, its body convulsing in agony. Its wings spread wide, flapping uncontrollably, knocking chunks of the cliff away. The human yanked the blade free and jumped down, rolling hard against the stone. His chest burned with pain, but he forced himself up. "Go!" he shouted again, dragging the girl and her mother toward the rising path. The three of them climbed, stone breaking beneath their hands, light still flashing behind them. The nest was falling apart, the abyss opening wider below. The Sky Hunter staggered, blinded and wounded, but still alive. Its glowing eyes flickered like dying stars. Yet even as the nest collapsed, its wings spread again. The girl screamed, looking back. "It's coming, it won't stop." The human gritted his teeth, pulling them higher. His voice was harsh but steady. "Then we don't stop either." The cliff shook violently, boulders raining down. Behind them, the Sky Hunter let out a roar that seemed to shake the whole world. The human pushed the girl and her mother up to the next ledge, shoving them toward safety. His chest heaved, blood dripping down his side. He turned back one last time, staring at the beast. It was broken, bleeding, half blind, but still rising. The human whispered under his breath, his eyes cold and unyielding. "This isn't over. Not yet." And as the nest collapsed into darkness, the Sky Hunter launched, itself upward once more, its wings beating against the storm. "Escape and promise," 800 words. The cliffs shook like thunder. Rocks broke away, tumbling into the endless dark below. The human dragged the alien girl and her mother up the narrow ledge, his arms screaming with pain, his side bleeding from the beast's claw. But he didn't stop. He couldn't stop. Behind them, the Sky Hunter rose from the collapsing nest. Its wings beat with furious strength, throwing storms of dust and stone into the air. One eye was blinded, its body cut and bleeding, yet its roar shook the valley with undying rage. The girl cried out, tears streaking her silver cheeks. "It's still coming. It won't let us go." The mother's weak voice trembled. "It will hunt us until we die." "It never stops." The human's teeth clenched. He pulled them higher, forcing his body past exhaustion. His voice was harsh, steady, filled with fire. "Then we climb faster, and we make sure we're the ones who don't stop." The path twisted upward, sharp and dangerous. Stones crumbled, underfoot the cliff face breaking apart. The human pushed the girl upward first, then lifted her mother after her. Every second was a battle against both the mountain and the monster below. The Sky Hunter screeched and launched upward. Its claws slammed into the ledge behind them, tearing away the stone. The shock nearly threw the girl off, but the human caught her wrist, yanking her back to safety. "Don't let go," he shouted. Her small hand trembled, but she held tight. The beast climbed after them, its body smashing through rock, its roar echoing across the cliffs. Dust blinded their eyes, the air filled with the sound of collapsing stone. The girl screamed, "We can't escape, it's too strong." The human turned, his face streaked with sweat and blood. His voice cut through the chaos like steel. "Listen, to me. Monsters are strong, but hope is stronger, that's why we win." His words burned in her heart. For the first time she believed him. They reached a wide outcrop, a flat stretch of stone high above the abyss. For a moment they had space to breathe, but only for a moment. The Sky Hunter rose from below, its wings spread wide, its glowing eye blazing with fury. It perched on the opposite edge of the outcrop, blocking their escape. The ground shook beneath its weight. The mother cried weakly, "No, it's the end." The girl clung to the human's arm. Her voice broke. What do we do now? The human stood tall, his chest rising and falling with heavy breath. His blade trembled in his hand, but his eyes never wavered. We end it, he said. The beast screeched and lunged. The human pushed the girl and her mother back against the wall, then charged forward to meet it. Claws slashed down. He rolled aside, striking with his blade at the wounded eye. The monster jerked back, roaring in pain, but its wings swept across the stone, knocking him off his feet. He slammed into the cliff wall, his vision blurring. Blood dripped into his eyes. His body screamed for him to stay down, but he forced himself up again. The girl screamed, "Human, please! Stop, it will kill you!" He spat blood and raised his blade once more. His voice roared back at her. "Not if I kill it first!" The sky hunter reared back, ready to strike the final blow. The human looked around desperately. His eyes locked on something above them. Cracks in the cliff face, heavy rocks barely held by roots and stone. An idea sparked. He shouted to the girl, "Do you trust me?" Through her tears, she nodded. "Yes." "Then when I say run, you run and don't look back." The beast lunged. The human sprinted toward the cliff wall, dodging its strike by inches. He climbed the rocks, dragging himself upward with every ounce of strength left. The monster clawed at him, but he was too fast. Reaching the weak point in the cliff, he raised his blade high and drove it deep into the cracks. The stone groaned, splitting apart. The girl's eyes widened. "He's bringing it down." The human roared, yanking his blade free. The cliff above shattered. Boulders the size of houses rained down, smashing into the sky hunter. Its wings flailed. Its roar turned to a scream of rage and pain. The rocks crushed its body, forcing it back until it tumbled into the abyss below. The ground shook with the sound of its fall. Then, silence. The human collapsed to his knees, gasping for breath. His hands shook, his body broken, but he was alive. The girl and her mother rushed to him. The girl threw her arms around him, sobbing into his chest. "You did it, you saved her. You saved us both." The mother knelt weakly, her voice trembling with awe. "No one ever faced the sky hunter and lived. No one. Until you." The human closed his eyes, resting his hand gently on the girl's head. His voice was soft but firm. "Monsters fall. Families don't. That's why I couldn't leave you." The mother bowed her head, tears shining in her eyes. "We owe you our lives, human. We will never forget." The girl held his hand tightly, her voice strong despite her tears. "Promise me you'll stay. Promise you won't leave us." The human looked at her, his tired face breaking into a faint smile. "I promise. As long as I live, you're not alone." The three of them stood together on the broken cliff, the storm quieting around them. The valley below lay in silence, the sky hunter gone at last. But as the human turned to lead them down the mountain, his eyes caught something carved into the stone walls. Strange markings, ancient and glowing faintly. Warnings. Symbols of beasts, far larger than the sky hunter. His heart sank. The battle was over, but the war was only beginning.